I'm Jeff Cioletti, Editor-in-Chief of Craft Spirits Magazine, and welcome to this edition of Craft Spirits TV. Whenever we get a chance, we like to highlight the sustainability efforts of our craft spirits community. And in this episode, we're going to catch up with Appalachian Gap Distillery up in Vermont. We spoke with Will Drucker, who talked us through their efforts to gain climate neutral certification.
Ever since the distillery was founded back in 2014, like environmentalism and sustainability was definitely part of the ethos. We installed a big old solar array out front. We really started talking about going fully climate neutral and talking about that as part of the brand when we were doing a rebranding exercise this fall. And just thinking about in terms of how our bottles speak to people on the shelf. Obviously, we love when people come to the tasting room or meet us at farmers markets, but there are plenty of instances where people don't get to have that one-on-one conversation and for us to share that story of our sustainability efforts in person. And so we wanted to figure out a way we could tell that story on the bottle. And we went through a few different iterations, but ultimately we were like, we're already so close to carbon neutral. We're generating all of our electricity from natural gas. All of our spent grains are being converted to clean power. So we might as well just take that last step and go fully climate neutral. So it was during that rebrand exercise that we made that decision and decided to put that right on the new bottle. So the bottles you see behind me are sort of the older vintage, and we are rolling out new branding where it says literally right on the label, we're carbon neutral, and we're in the midst of that process right now in terms of doing a detailed accounting of where we do have emissions within our operation, and then what we need to do to offset those emissions and making a plan for reducing our impact going forward. The whole facility is super well insulated. Essentially, we're trying to use what energy we do require for the process as efficiently as possible. So you go into the facility and you'll see insulation on all of the steam pipes and a chiller. So a lot of essentially just like, not that sophisticated, but fairly straightforward, just insulation, just, making sure we're not wasting energy. We have a bunch of skylights so that what lighting we do require is at least partially supplemented by natural sunlight, and all of our lights run on motion sensors. So if there's someone out in the rick house, those lights will go on, but as soon as they're, no longer in that facility, the lights will automatically go off. So again, just trying to be as resourceful with what energy we are using as possible. Because it's a lot cheaper to not use the energy in the first place than use it and try and offset it after the fact. So, so definitely the facility envelope is super well insulated. Obviously the solar energy, that's a big part of what we do. All of our spent grains. In fact, just today there was a truck that came to pick up our spent grains, which go to feed a methane digester, which essentially just turns it into sustainable power. And all of the grains that we use are sourced as locally as possible. So some are coming from as near as 20 miles away, near the Champlain Valley. Can't get all of our grains super locally, but obviously that cuts down on the transportation footprint. And we try and work with farmers that are using organic practices as much as possible. So that's another thing that we're excited about with Climate Neutral, which is the organization we're working with, is that it expects brands that sign up and commit to climate neutrality to look beyond just their immediate facility. So not just what natural gas they're burning or what electricity they're using, but looking up the supply chain, taking into account the trucks that bring our grain to the facility, where the barrels are coming from. So it's pretty comprehensive. And then of course on the downstream. So whenever a shop or distributor makes an order, accounting for the carbon footprint of that transportation to the customer, so that they know that what they're getting is cradle to grave, carbon neutral, fully offset. I think I'm not alone in my decision process going beyond just what the price tag is and the quality of the product itself, but how that company behaves as a citizen of the world. Uh, Climate change is a huge issue for us, and it's nice to see that companies like us are now able to participate in the efforts to do our part to offset those environmental impacts and help move things in a better direction. And ideally, it would be really cool to see this take fire in the rest of the distilling industry, and have the industry as a whole become much more sustainable.
Thank you for watching, but before I go, I want to remind you, if you don't already subscribe to Craft Spirits Magazine, the digital-only publication from the American Craft Spirits Association, please do so by heading over to craftspiritsmag.com and click subscribe. It will be delivered to your inbox every other month. And also, I wanted to direct your attention to our new podcast, the Craft Spirits Podcast, and you can subscribe to that at most of the usual places: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. And until next time, I'm Jeff Cialetti, and thank you for watching Craft Spirits TV.